The presidents of Russia and the United States have said their Alaska meeting over the Ukraine was productive despite not reaching a deal. President Donald Trump has made ending the 3.5-year war a priority in his second term in office.
Well, he's also set his sights on resolving the long-standing Middle East conflict, and he's claimed credit for ending several other conflicts since entering the Oval Office in January. Now, Mr. Trump, as we know, has not made it a secret that he covets the Nobel Peace Prize. And to discuss his chances, we're now joined by Jared Monshine, Director of Research at the U.S. Studies Center. Jared, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
My pleasure.
So, Jared, Mr. Trump had gone to this summit in Alaska, with high hopes of ending the war in Ukraine. He's come out with no deal. All the analysis points to the fact that he had been played by Mr. Putin. Does Mr. Trump know that?
I think if you look at that press conference and the way that President Trump did not take any questions at that press conference, which is very abnormal for him. He loves engaging with the media, and the way that reportedly those discussions were supposed to last for many hours, and they actually were much shorter. I think in the short term, perhaps Vladimir Putin looked like he gained being on the same stage as the U.S. president, showing that he has still diplomatic clout. But in the medium and perhaps long term, the fact that Donald Trump immediately called NATO allies in Europe and is meeting with the president of Ukraine on Monday indicates that perhaps moving forward, the Russians perhaps did not get what they want. If anything, it may have pushed President Trump closer to the Ukrainian and the European position on this war.
Interesting. Now, recently, the Oval Office had credited Mr. Trump with bringing about peace agreements between various countries. I'm going to point out here Azerbaijan and Armenia, Thailand and Cambodia, Rwanda and the DRC as well. How pivotal was he in these negotiations?
I'm not sure how pivotal he was personally. To a certain extent, he has been involved in some of them, but more than anything else, it's his team, Marco Rubio, the acting National Security Advisor and Secretary of State, who have engaged in these smaller disputes. And I think the participants in those disputes do not really deny the Trump administration's active involvement. I think prior administrations would have similar accomplishments, but perhaps not be as actively keen to talk about a Nobel Peace Prize about them. Ultimately, though, I think what I would be more focused on is perhaps the U.S. involvement in the dispute between India and Pakistan. In that instance, it looks like the U.S. may have perhaps played a hand that was not as constructive to U.S. interests in the long term.
Right. In what way?
Well, ultimately, the U.S. May have taken a position that was deemed in India to be too favorable to Pakistan. And I think there's few partners more consequential to the U.S. right now in this era of strategic competition than India. And so I have to wonder, this combined with the tariffs on India, whether the U.S. has set back a strategic partnership with a key country like India.
Let's turn our attention to his chances on being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. This week, the Norwegian press had reported that Mr. Trump had cold called Jens Stoltenberg, Norway's finance minister, to talk tariffs, but apparently he also spoke about the Nobel Peace Prize. What are his chances?
I don't think they are particularly high. There's a whole process for the Nobel Peace Prize. It has to be approved by members of parliament, approve the committee that decides it, and we have to only look at how the last U.S. president won the Nobel Peace Prize, and that was Barack Obama, when he really, his own team would admit, had not done much. It was more than anything else a sort of condemnation of his predecessor, George W. Bush. And so ultimately, the Peace Prize is something that is political in nature. It is not some objective measurement by any means. And so I think that on the whole, President Trump's popularity or lack thereof in Europe makes him winning a prize pretty unlikely.
Why is this award so important to him?
Well, you only have to read the newspaper and see why, because if you look at the way that newspapers or media reports refer to people like Nelson Mandela or Barack Obama, a lot of times they include the Nobel Peace Prize in or their accomplishments in peace negotiations in favor of a Nobel Peace Prize as key to their life's accomplishments. Those prizes stay with someone, and if there's anything we know about Donald Trump is that he likes plaudits. He likes to win the official recognition of the world.
Well, to top it off, if he were able to succeed in bringing peace to the Middle East, would that bring him more of a chance of being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize?
Very much so. I mean, you have to admit that as much as many criticize him for his destabilizing and unconventional policies, what he did leave in the Middle East after his first term was perhaps a bit more stability in terms of recognition of Israel by Arab and Muslim countries in the region. Even Democrats would admit that they actually not only approved of his many of his moves in the Middle East in his first term related to the Abraham Accords, but actually the Biden administration sought to further them and sought to expand further recognition of Israel in the Middle East as a way to ultimately have the U.S. have less of a security presence in the region because they wanted the region to look after themselves.
Well, Jared Monshine, Director of Research at the U.S. Studies Center, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
My pleasure.